All right, you guys. So, take a TV, like, share, and subscribe. Tap on in. Appreciate everybody pulling up, showing love to the channel, man. Much love, honor, and respect, man. David, salute to you coming through that cash app today. $100 donation, man. I appreciate you, dog. Much love to you. And I wanted to cook on this just real quick about this situation and let y'all know, based off of a video that I basically, I did earlier today. I ended up seeing a video from the homegirl, Kadisha Lynn. And if you guys aren't subscribed to Kadisha Lynn, man, she is an absolute beast when it comes to getting information, breaking down information, and processing information. Now, I came in here today and I told you guys about the report that was put out this morning. I don't know if y'all seen the video, but there's a report that's put out that says that Chris Tucker's, basically him being pulled up in these photos in these Epstein files, reportedly is basically threatening his Hollywood return. Now, for you guys who didn't know, a lot of people didn't know what was going on with Chris Tucker. Reportedly, and this story is explosive, man. Reportedly, Chris Tucker, he had been they was lobbying to try to get him back on Friday, on another Friday. They were lobbying trying to get him back on there, and also not only that, uh, Chris Tucker, Rush Hour 4. But this thing goes deep, man. And I pray, Chris Tucker has not been accused, but I pray, man, that as more information comes out, I pray and I hope to God that Chris Tucker, um, you know, I just pray for the brother, man, um, that he wasn't involved in some of these devilish things that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in, because it was rumored that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly, uh, you know, could have blackmailed some people, right? And so we look at the Epstein files and we try to realize and understand, why are all these photos and all these people in these files? What are the context of these people in these files? That's why I say it is very important to know the context of all of these different photos of these different people that are in these Jeffrey Epstein files. It is very important. Now, let me get to the point of this video tonight. As I told y'all, I did a video early this morning talking about the situation with Chris Tucker. Why? Because Chris Tucker had popped up in these photos in the Epstein files. He had popped up in that infamous photo with the woman who's in prison right now, Ghislaine Maxwell, doing 20 years in prison on sex charges. Uh, and you see that person's face is blacked out on the left hand side of Chris Tucker, right hand side of your screen. And Chris Tucker apparently was on this flight. Now, I told you guys when we saw the photos of Chris Tucker with one former president of the United States, Bill Clinton, the first thing that came to my mind, the very first thing, was Chris Tucker's line in Rush Hour, where he said, Chelsea Clinton, oh, yeah, $100 million. Who the hell she thinks she is? Chelsea Clinton? And then I never knew Chris had gotten up this high in the ranks where he was hanging around, Bill and the president of the United States and all this other stuff. And I was wondering, like, why are they coming off at Chris Tucker? All them other people's in the photos and stuff. And in the videos, Kadisha Lynn, boy, that girl is something special. And I'm going to tell y'all something. Chris Tucker is innocent unless something is proven otherwise, which we have not seen in any of these other people yet. But I tell y'all, everybody that's in these photos, that are in these Epstein files, were in this investigation for some reason or another. And it is important that we find out why they were in these files. You see Kevin Spacey, you see Michael Jackson, you see all of these people, and people were saying, hey man, it doesn't make any sense. Like this, that, and the third. It all has to make sense. Because if we knew the scope of the investigation and we knew what was going on, we would know it would make sense. But I come to y'all tonight because Khadisha Lynn, she dropped the bomb, and it completely caught me off guard. Completely caught me off guard. And I want to touch on that right now. And that is this photo that she spoke about on her channel today. Now, this is a photo of Chris Tucker. And in this photo, one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims by the name of Shantae, she came out in a lawsuit. And basically, she spoke on this infamous trip to Africa. Now, Shantae Davis, or Davies, I should say, who was a confirmed Epstein accuser, who basically alleged repeated sexual abuse by Jeffrey Epstein. She served as a masseuse and as the air hostess on his private jet, the Lolita Express. Now, she personally recounted being on the September 2002 humanitarian trip to Africa. People that said now, because I saw somebody on the news, and somebody on the news said, forget the Epstein files. They said all the juicy details are in those lawsuits. She personally recounted being on the September 2002 humanitarian trip to Africa, organized for the Clinton Foundation to raise awareness about, you know what, and poverty. Now, the trip included Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton, Chris Tucker, Kevin Spacey, Ghislaine Maxwell, and others. Now, in interviews, she did one with The Sun, and in the Netflix series, Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich. She described boarding the plane and seeing the guests arrive. She says it was Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and Chris Tucker. Now, she noted the trip felt surreal and like a dream opportunity at the time, though she later detailed ongoing abuse by Epstein before and after it. Now, multiple sources, including photos from the trip released in the Epstein-related files, confirm her presence alongside Chris Tucker and others. Now, Chris Tucker wasn't personally accused. Neither was Bill Clinton or Spacey or any of those other guys. But they are in those files. As we saw these other pictures pop up with him and Clinton, and we saw him and Ghislaine Maxwell. Obviously, we saw Kevin Spacey in pictures with Bill Clinton. This thing was crazy. It was real crazy. We saw, again, Chris Tucker. I don't know who that person is. They face blacked out. But then Khadisha Lynn said something else in her video that made me just fall out of my seat. And I did not know this until today. Donald Trump, the current president of the United States of America, reportedly is the one who pushed for Rush Hour 4 to be put out. He wanted Rush Hour 4 on the scene. Now, if you guys don't know anything about Rush Hour 4, Rush Hour 4, the Rush Hour series, I should say, the first ones, were directed by a man by the name of Brett Ratner. Now, Brett Ratner, who was a director and key producer of the Rush Hour trilogy from 1998 to 2007, is that producer that I'm referring to. And he's the one most associated with the franchise whose Hollywood career faced a major setback. Now, in 2017, during the Me Too movement, Brett Ratner was accused of sexual harassment and misconduct by multiple women, including actresses Olivia Munn and Natasha Henstridge, detailed in a Los Angeles Times report. Now, he strongly denied all allegations and no criminal charges were filed against him. However, the fallout was severe. Warner Brothers severed ties with his production company, Rat Pat Entertainment. He was dropped by his own agency, and he effectively stepped away from major Hollywood directing and producing for years. But I have something for y'all. As of late this year, 2025, Brett Ratner is now making a comeback. He directed a documentary about none other than the wife of the current president of the United States of America, Melania Trump. Released in theaters in January 2026 by Amazon MGM Studios. But wait, there's more. More controversially, Rush Hour 4, starring none other than Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, is moving forward with Brett Ratner attached to direct. Reports indicate that your current president, Donald J. Trump, personally lobbied Paramount via ties to owner David Ellison and his father, Larry Ellison, to greenlight and distribute the film, overcoming years of studio passing on this movie, I should say, Rush Hour 4, due to those allegations against the director of the Rush Hour series. Ladies and gentlemen, as I look at the Epstein files and I look at all of these different photos that I see, the question that has to be asked the most is, what is the context of all of these people that are in these files? What is the purpose? Why is Chris Tucker in these files so much? What were the FBI investigating and Jeffrey Epstein that caused all these other people to be put into these files? That is a question that I think everyone has to answer, because if you think about it, they're redacting a lot of the information, which means that they're not putting out a lot of this information. See, I had a lot of questions. First of all, why was the current president of the United States of America, what do his pictures that were seen inside Epstein's drawer, why are they in the Epstein files? Jeffrey Epstein's brother came out and said that he told him that he had enough dirt on Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton to end that election. Also, what are the contexts of all these photos that have been released where people's faces have been blotted out. What is the context of this? Now, in one of the lawsuits, Shantae Davis, one of the girls that was pictured in this infamous photo, she spoke about how all these celebrities were around. And it seemed as if maybe Epstein would potentially have connections to the highest level of celebrities. And this will be how he could potentially draw people around. We don't know if that's true. We don't know if Chris Tucker or any of these other people that's in these photos did anything wrong, because they're not, or they haven't been accused. But what the people want to know is, why haven't all the photos been released? And why are the documents heavily redacted? What is in those FBI documents that would basically explain these pictures? Because I told y'all, this is not a distraction. This is right on point, sister Tashelle in the chat. This is right on point. See, you got one of those puzzles, and it's got 1,000 pieces. As I told y'all this morning, and you buy the puzzle, and you open the box, and you pour all the pieces out. If you're missing 50 out of the 1,000 pieces, if you're missing 200 out of the 1,000, if you're missing 300, 500, 800, if you're missing 950 out of the 1,000 pieces, you'll never understand the full context of the entire story. You need all the other pieces to properly tell this story, which is why the entire nation should demand that President Donald J. Trump have his Department of Justice release all of those files unredacted that only keeps out the names of those who were not of age and victims. Everything else should be put out in front of the world, because the world deserves to know the explanation for all of these photos that are in this man's files, because it's not fair to Chris Tucker or anybody else that's in these files, that's coming up in these pictures, if there isn't full context put behind this. Because that girl said in her lawsuit that Chris Tucker and them was on that trip. Bill Clinton, all these other people, Kevin Spacey. She said that Africa trip. And she claimed she was abused on that trip by Jeffrey Epstein. See, did any of these people know any of these things that was going on? That is the main question. Because to our knowledge, they haven't been accused, but the FBI says something that made me think. They also put out there, the Department of Justice, that they were basically redacting files because they wanted to protect victims and also protect potential investigations, ongoing investigations they had into other people. So when you look at these pictures, all of these pictures that was in these Epstein files, they mean something. They got to mean something to be in those files. What did they mean? That is the $1,000,000 question. But it blew my socks to think of everything that ran through my head when I was just wondering, what the hell is Chris Tucker? But then I thought about that line I told y'all. He did right in Rush Hour. They had that girl for ransom, and he said, $100 million? Who the hell you think she is? Chelsea Clinton? That had to make Bill happy. That had to make Bill say, yeah, man, go. And then you see in all these photos, Wayne Maxwell, and photos are going to be released. That's going to blow our minds. See, when they went on that island and they went in Epstein's place, you know how much content and material they probably got. Photos, files. And I've been reading a lot of these files, and they're disgusting. Absolutely disgraceful. I'm going to tell y'all something. For everybody who thinks this is a distraction, this is not a distraction. This is on point. The world deserves to know the truth about everything. The world deserves to know are the people that we've seen for years. Are their hands clean or dirty? We all deserve to know the full truth. It's just that simple. And all of the victims deserve to be able to have peace and knowing that there's a possibility that there can be real justice if there was anybody else outside of Epstein that was pulling these stunts. Because the pictures I seen, it's funny how they try to call you during the stream. Got a phone call. It's funny how they always try to call you during the stream. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this again. All right. We need to get all the files. I don't think it's fair to Chris Tucker. I don't think it's fair to Michael Jackson. I don't think it's fair to anybody else that's in these pictures. If we don't understand Diana Ross, the list goes on. If we don't understand the full context of why they were in these FBI seized photos. What was this all about? See, I'm gonna tell y'all something. This might be America's biggest, darkest secret. But to truly drain the swamp, to truly have full transparency, to truly build a nation on trust, honor, and respect, we have to clean our own shit first. You have to be unafraid of who may have to get exposed to clean it up. See, in your mind, we all have to understand that man can always let us down. And I know some of y'all have strong ties and strong links to certain political figures. You may be on one side of the fence, or you may be on the other. But the question is either one of them right? You got to take your personal feelings out of this. You can't praise celebrities in this. You can't uplift names in this. You have to be a person who truly seek the truth and justice for all of those poor people who were done dirty by Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and whoever the hell else was around them, may have participated or may have even known. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. I don't give a damn if you were just around and didn't do nothing. See, if you knew and you didn't do something to stop it, you just as bad. Now again, we don't know the full context, because out of the 100% of the files, Donald Trump's Department of Justice has only released 10%. They were supposed to release 100% on this past Friday. They only released 10%. And most of those files were all blacked out, top to bottom, blacked out. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. We all deserve to know. Haven't heard anything from Chris Tucker yet about his pictures coming up. Bill Clinton's people put out a statement. Haven't heard from any of these other people. See, this may be a situation where your idols become your rivals. And I told y'all, don't idolize any of these people. I don't trust no side. And you better believe that. This ain't a political thing. This ain't a right wing thing. This ain't a left wing thing. This is a do right by people thing. And treat people with some common decency and effing respect and not violate people. I told everybody, and people wanted to know why this stuff means so much to me. See, I grew up working basketball camps with the youth every summer. And I was so happy to see those youth come in there and just watch them how they grew and how they interacted and how they looked up to us, to the leaders in the camps. And just working with them and helping them put some in my spirit to want to help the youth come up and do the right thing, to be able to tell them, hey man, don't y'all fight. Come over here. Both y'all dap it up, man. Come on. We got to get past that. It was things I said to these young kids that helped keep them off the streets and in bad situations to where they would have gave their life to the devil. See, a lot of people don't care about that shit because they don't care. It means something to me. And as I told y'all today, when their parents came at 7:30 in the morning to drop their kids off at camp, they'll come 7:30 in the morning and come back at around 5 or something, 5:30 in the afternoon to come get them. They be at camp all day with us. And when they leave their kids, when you leave your kids at camp, when you leave them at the daycare, when you leave them at school, it's a responsibility of the teachers, of the adults, to do the right thing by those youth. Because their minds are so impressionable. They're learning their way. They're trying to find their way. And if you got people out here doing wrong, like we definitely know Epstein was out here on cap, then him and anybody else who knew about this shit and didn't have enough heart to say nothing, they got to go. They got to go to prison. See, just because it ain't your kid, don't mean it shouldn't mean nothing to you. Because that's where the tests come in. That's where you get put in the trick bag. When you act like I ain't gonna care because it ain't me. Because it always gonna come back around sometime. Because I tell y'all this, if the left one don't get you, if the left one don't get you, the right one will, baby. The right one will. Because let me tell you something. It might not have been your kid. That had the problem. Or that may have been violated. It may have been someone else's kid. And they grew up with that on them and on their spirit their entire life, and they were filled with anger and rage because these things happened to them, and they never had nobody to put them on the right path and tell them something that was going to put them in the right mindset. And what did they do? They got older and they started turning and violating and disrespecting other people, and it might turn into your daughter, your son that get violated because we didn't do what we supposed to do with somebody else's. This is why you used to have what they call community discipline. See, we live in a weak ass era now. We live in an era where you ain't got no more community discipline. If you correct somebody else's kid, they ready to fight you. They can know their kid wrong as hell. But see, I still lived in an era. I lived at the end of that era. But I came up right at the end of that era where if I acted up, guess what? The neighbor was going to correct me. Then he was going to call my parents, send me home, and make sure I got corrected when I got home too. And my parents, they was going to appreciate and respect the fact that the neighbor cooked on my ass, then sent me home to get cooked. We ain't got that no more. Now, if you correct somebody else's kid, now they ready to fight you. They ready to take you out. The kid can be all the way wrong. See, I'm telling you. I've had it happen with me with the young youth where they try to pull up and act bad and shit. And I had to check that shit. And they tried to go get their parents to cook up. And when their parents came up, I told the parents exactly what they did and why I corrected that ass. And the parent respected it. Hey, they couldn't do nothing but respect it. They said, man, you out here giving your time for free. I ain't got nothing to say to you. When they came up there and seen what I was on. See, they preaching death and destruction to these youth and to these young people coming up. They preaching negativity, gang life. They're breathing and breathing death into the community. And y'all cool with that shit. Because y'all think all this is cool. That shit don't sit right with me. I'm just built different, my nigga. I put belt to ass on these capping ass Negroes. Parent gonna come ask me, why'd you make him do 20 push-ups? Oh, because he was over here acting a fool. And if you do it on my watch, his ass gonna do 20 push-ups. I'm telling you right now, man. That's why you can't have a me mentality. That's the same thing these people have in politics. I call it politics because they don't put everybody in a trick bag. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, they got you in a trick bag. They got you in a trick bag. Got you sitting up here arguing back and forth with a whole nother side based off what? When the push come to shove, at the end of the day, behind the scenes, you're going to see Trump and Obama dapping up and laughing it up. But everybody up underneath both sides, they out here beefing and going at it. Same thing with the Trumps and the Clintons. They was all cool. Now you run for office, we hate each other. Nah, you don't fool me. We don't trust you. They playing games with the people. This is how you put the people on these strings and play them like puppets. And you got all the people down here, chaotic, going off on each other. Go to these political channels and look at all these people out here going off on each other. That's why I wish they do away with politics altogether. Right side, left side. Get away from both sides and just have individual candidates and people. And everybody make a decision based off that. Why I gotta be red and blue on a political spectrum? Think about this. The Negroes that's wearing red and blue on the street, they putting their ass in prison. They locking them up and calling them gangsters. When on the official side of the red and the blue, it's more death, violence, and destruction going on at that level than anywhere else. And these mofos ain't going to prison. If anybody else did, any average citizen in America did what Bill Clinton did in the Oval Office, he going to prison. If you go in the Oval Office right now and get domed, you going to prison. Not if you Bill Clinton. If anybody else got charged and convicted of 34 felons, 34 felonies. You going to prison. Not Trump. Not Trump. I dare one of y'all to walk around talking about you grab him by the peas. Your ass is going to prison. Ain't more don't come on here talking about why you don't vote. Man, ain't no way. They ain't giving me no option. I haven't seen a viable option. I'm gonna say I have never in my lifetime seen a viable option. Oh man, you got to vote for the lesser evil. No, I don't. I don't have to vote for evil at all, my nigga. Period. When you bring the people an option that's respectable and honorable for all the people, then we vote. You can't put icing on ish and tell me it's chocolate cake. No, not gonna work. And these people praise these people and do all this stuff for the love of money, associations, connections. If I get behind this political side, I'm gonna get this connection. I'm gonna be on these shows. I'm gonna get this money. If I go to this side, I'm gonna be on these shows. Bro, I'm trying to tell y'all this. I'm trying to tell y'all, man. When you get somebody to come out here and talk about helping the poorest people in the entire United States of America, see, they don't want they want to keep those poor people down. They don't want those people to be built up. Why? Because it makes the world a better place. Now what you're gonna have to do is close prisons. Why? Because more people are doing what they're supposed to do. What do impoverished people do? Commit crimes. Rob, kill, steal. Why? Because they poor. They don't feel like they got an opportunity. They don't feel like they have a way. What's the easiest way to eliminate that? Eliminate that problem. Stop sending all your money to help other countries when you don't even help your own. Sending all this aid to help other countries, but then when you got something going on, they don't send nothing to help you. But you won't help your own people in the worst situations. You got people that can walk in a hospital right now and they'll let you damn near drop dead before they help you if you ain't got insurance. What type of humane situation is that? If somebody comes to the hospital, man, and their life is on the line, you shouldn't have to wait to sign no damn paperwork. Get their ass in the room and get to operating. And we deal with the rest later. It's called human decency. We've gotten away from that. People agree they care about themselves. See, when they start getting deep like this, they ain't gonna go to that with y'all. They're not gonna talk about turning around the biggest issues in the United States of America, right? Think about what I just said. They make college tuition impossible. How many parents in here right now struggling to pay y'all kids tuition to go to college? They couldn't get no scholarships. College tuition out of the goddamn roof. And you struggling to keep them, and you doing everything you can to keep them in college. Think about all these things. Think about all these things. We worry about everybody else's problems instead of our own. We the police of the whole world instead of the United States of America. We got people that's in this comment section. You will drive every day past some of the poorest people in the world and won't even think to give them a penny. And my folks riding past these people in Maybachs, Phantoms, Lambos, all kind of shit. And will drive past a person every day that don't got nothing. We don't have that common decency to where we want to pick the next person up and really see the next person do well. We live in a system of where it's celebrated to keep the bullshit going. It's celebrated to praise weasels like Diddy, a punk ass nigga that will beat up on a chick. And I seen something, and I seen this, and I wasn't even gonna talk about this. But I screenshotted it, my G. I wasn't even gonna talk about it. Had me so mad. I got to talk about it. I saw it. I saw it in the video. And it just shows you how these people praise. Man, somebody wrote to this brother. You know, the brother I told y'all about. Fake ass cat from New Jersey, acting like he from New York with the oversized suits, screaming sidebar and putting himself as the Diddy protector. But somebody asked this cat, and I screenshotted it. I wasn't even gonna cook on this, but I'm glad I screenshotted it. And they asked this dude, they said, man, please answer one question. And I'm gonna drop the mic after this shit, y'all, because it lets you know exactly what I'm talking about. It said, if Puff beat your daughter, if you had one, would you still defend him? Just yes or no. You know that Cassie said Diddy was not attractive at all? You and I both know they were with Diddy for his money. And you know that. I know you will respond. I don't have a daughter. Sad, man. This thing is crazy. You know what this dude said in response? He said, this is domestic violence. Puff was not charged with that. He had a RICO case. You're distracted by the truth. No, the truth is he beat on that girl on tape, nigga. And that's not what he asked you. He asked you, if that man beat your daughter like that, how would you feel? But I told y'all, this is what happens when you think about yourself. What is it for a man to gain all these riches of the world? All the riches of the world. That when God called your name and it's time for you to check up out of here, you can't take none of that with you. What is it for a man to gain all the riches of the world, but to lose his soul? Like, share, subscribe, man. That's why I don't respect these chumps. Hey, I really appreciate you guys for supporting the channel, supporting the network. like, share, and subscribe. Once again, there are links. Get the free membership on our website. That way you guys won't miss any of our news update stories or videos. They're all on the website, ticketvmedia.com. You go over there. You can go right to the members part and become a free member. That way you guys will get all the updates. Also, straight drop weight loss formula. Make sure y'all go tap in and copy some of that, as well as subscribing to our podcast show. Link will be pinned at the top of the chat down there below. And also, we just appreciate all y'all who support the channel. Cash App, PayPal.